Hello. Thank you for being here. My name is Jen. I'm with Vitmug Productions, and we are a full-service live streaming production company taking your live stream from conception all the way to repurposing. Tonight, I've got 3 different types of how-tos for you. We're starting off first with the OBS how-to, and this is how to get that recording, that good recorded copy of your live stream. And this, like I mentioned earlier, is not for mobile live streams. This is for primarily desktop live streams, right? So let me switch over and give you a peek at my screen. There we go. And if you didn't know, you're watching Streamed. This is a weekly broadcast that we do as Vitmug Productions to show a little bit of the how-to at any budget. So as everybody knows, OBS is a free encoding and mildly switching software. It's got its limits, but of course, it's free. And that's just kind of how it goes. And I'm only showing you one step in this. There are a lot of things going on with my OBS here. Not all of it is very pretty, I will admit that. But there's a lot of things going on. There's one really important thing that I think of when I start streaming. It's number one, having your sources correct, right? Having the right places. And I'm sorry if the video is cutting off kind of the side. Let me resize this so you can see. You can see all of the stuff in the background there. That's Wirecast too, because I'm going to show Wirecast next. But I wanted to make sure you saw this right here. There's 2 buttons right here. Start streaming, start recording. These are the 2 that are very important when you're going forward and you're making sure people can see you and people can hear you. Today we're focusing on the start recording. But before you can hit that start recording button, you need to go into settings. And now I can't change that. So when you're looking to make sure your recordings are correct, you're going to output. And this looks complicated, right? At least it did when I started out. And there are a ton of other tutorials all over YouTube that'll teach you how to go through each part of this, what the difference is between simple and advanced, what you need to be looking at in terms of streaming, figuring out your video bit rate, and then your audio bit rate. You're going to have to deep dive into this, and it's not the focus of this, but you need to double check that you have this set up and you've looked at the tutorials to make sure you know where you're going. The encoder. So I have 2 ways to encode on my computer. One is the basic software, and the next is my hardware, which is my video card. And I always use my video card because it's a beast and it can handle it. This is where we get into the recording. It is the recording section of it. You can see my recording path is my computer, my documents, and I have a specific folder set up for all of my OBS recordings. And this is just like any browser. You get to go through all of your stuff and figure out where you want to save it. But you want to remember it, and you want to take the time right now to make sure you know where you're recording it, because there is nothing like getting out and getting a perfect stream done. You remember to record, you got some great quality, and then you can't find the bloody thing. That's like the worst thing. So take the time now, make sure you know where it is and that you're doing it right, and you can find it later. So I always hit recording quality, same as stream. And then the last one is before, if you've never set up OBS, I think it tries to default to either FLV or MOV. You need to change that to MP4. Now, I understand what this warning says. Basically, it says if you record to an MP4 and you stop the transmission before it gets to end, or it gets interrupted, like you lose your internet, you lose you lose any kind of connection, you're basically hosed. So they recommended you save it as a MOV and then transfer it over to an MP4. You're welcome to do that. I've never run into an issue with that. And unfortunately, if your internet goes down, or if your power goes out, or some kind of catastrophe like that, you're gonna be there. That's where you're gonna be. But they do give you that warning, and I do repeat that warning. If you know how to convert MOVs to MP4s, you are totally welcome to do an MOV. I always go default to MP4s. and then apply. Always apply first, and then okay. And now you should be set up to hit start streaming first, because you got to make sure you're streaming first, and then start recording. And that's it. That's OBS. The second thing I'm going to go into, as you can see, peeking out behind here is Wirecast. So, as you can see, my Wirecast is up and running. Welcome to what the stream show is when I'm not using VidPresso. Right now, I am using VidPresso, which is a cloud-based production package. It's really pretty darn neat. I'm doing the transitions. I actually have a couple shots built into there. There's a virtual cam. Thanks to my Wirecast, you could see the looping video. There's also a picture-in-picture option, what I'm doing here, so I'm able to do the tutorial. VidPresso is a pretty neat tool, and I'm excited to be able to use that as a third-party platform so that I can show you and demo what's going on in Wirecast and how to do your recordings. So, as we go. This is Wirecast. This is a paid option, but this is how we at Vitmug Productions get 1080 quality HD copies of our recording. And those things are priceless. That's the best quality you're going to be able to get currently in the market. I mean, there are people that are doing 4K, and I totally respect that, but there's not a lot of people that can see it. Yes. So I don't focus on that. I want to be able to get the best content out there that the majority of people can see. So this is how we get 1080 HD, and you can get up to 60 frames per second with with Wirecast. So in Wirecast, you go to Output, you go to Output Settings. Little box gonna pop up. I'm using virtual cam right now, so it's like, what are you doing? Getting a little crazy right now. Trying to do too many things. Your quality may be degraded. Yeah, just may not be so good. Anyway, so this is the place where you set all of your destinations as well as create a copy. So instead of setting a destination, you're going to be setting up an output, a local output. So what I like to do right here, record to disk MP4. Just like in OBS, I'm not spending the extra time to convert an MOV to an MP4, so I'm going to do it from the source. This is what you get. This is how it pops up. The name is always what the default is. I always like to call it a local copy. Just because I know it's going to my desktop. This is mine. It's not going out anywhere, but it gives me a very good copy, a very clean copy. So the next thing we have, your destination. It's already set for you. It's been there the entire time. You could change it, but why would you do that? You kind of set it up ahead of time. Then the third part here is the encoding. Now, this depends on your machine and this depends on your destination, right? So I have different options because I have a pretty strong computer. This is my streaming computer. So if you're primarily looking to go to Facebook and you're using Wirecast and you are okay with a 720 by 30 frames per second broadcast or local recording in this case, use that. But if what I like to do, I like to make sure I have a 1080. I like to make sure I have a 1080 HD by 30 frames copy. So if I'm streaming using my default encoder, which is right here as default, I usually go down here, I think. Don't let me Oh, excuse me. I just missed it. So I usually stream at this type of default right here. The second type of default is off of my graphics card. When I create a recording for any of my clients, I'm pulling 1080 by 30. This is what I like to do. This is what I know the capabilities of my machine and the kind of copy and quality of copy I want out of a local recording. So when you're looking for your file, you're going through and you're browsing. This is the same as OBS. You want to remember where this is because you do not want to be searching afterwards, trying to figure out where the heck you recorded it. You want to have a place set up for it right ahead of time. I have one for OBS. I specifically try to save them to shows, and I will totally show you. This is Let's Livestream. If you don't know, I do Let's Livestream. I'm the producer behind there. I have everything set up by date. So when I do a local recording, for example, we have one coming up tomorrow. When I'm setting this up and I want that local recording, I want that 1080 HD, I save it right to the file. So I always know everything is bundled up and packaged. Some people save it to one folder, so they always know, just like I did with the OBS tutorial. These are different methods. You know your own catalog. You know how to save files, but definitely know where you save it. Totally. I've done it many a times where I've been disorganized. It pays in the long run to be organized. So you set up where your destination is. I have never changed auto increment, use file only. And this is just a copy. This is your bitrate. And this is a copy of where it's going to be, where you're streaming to. And that's setting up via Wirecast. So once you're done, you hit OK, and you're good to go. I'm using the virtual cam. That's why that's coming out that way. And that's OBS. Or not OBS. That's Wirecast. Let's get this right. I did OBS first. This was Wirecast. We have one more to go, and that's YouTube. All right. So for YouTube, this is a process. This is a thing that I like to do and that Jonathan likes to do. Both of us like to do as Vitmug Productions. We like to have that secondary piece of recording of any of our live streams via YouTube. You guys might not know it, but we're live on YouTube right now. I do that via two different programs, and they are both cloud-based restreaming programs. One of them is Restream.io. The second one is Switchboard Live. They do predominantly the same thing. They are totally different companies. They have very different expertises, very different capabilities, very different clients, I wouldn't say very different outlooks as companies. There are a ton of good people behind both of those companies. You have to go out and explore and find out which one works for you. So I've given you the address right there. It is Restream.io and Switchboard.live. And if anybody's in the comments and would like to throw up the links for me, would greatly appreciate it. Now I want to talk about why I do this. I have found that sometimes in doing streams from the desktop, your system will become taxated, right? If you're using things like OBS or you're using things like Wirecast, right now I'm running at about 80% of my CPU usage, right? Because I have 3 different programs going. So it's not always easy to have those capabilities on your computer and to taxate your computer overly for a long period of time. So Restream.io and Switchboard.live both take all of that strain off your computer, and they allow you to do everything cloud-based, right? So that is one of the reasons why I like using that. I like being out in YouTube. I like having that recording. I like having everything cloud-based. The second reason is because it's already done for you in terms of repurposing. The content is already streamed there in terms of repurposing. you have nothing else to do. It is totally such a godsend. I want you to think about that a little bit more. Because in the very beginning of this, and it is a mantra of Vitmug, that we think about live streams in 3 terms. We think about it in terms of promoting your content and pushing that to social media. We think about it as the going live time and having great content, and then making sure that great content is evergreen and is repurposed, as a blog, as on YouTube, as social media content that keeps your content evergreen. I mean, you're putting a ton of work into this. And this is the expectation I have in talking about this. This is for business people. This is for people that are trying to maximize their content. So doing this to YouTube means that half of the battle is already done. Streaming it using tools like Restream.io and Switchboard Live allow you to make sure the content is already up on YouTube. And with very minimal editing, you could probably clip it and have a very good show. Have very, very good YouTube ready content. So that's 2 reasons, 2 really good reasons to use YouTube, and why, thinking in the bigger picture. So I want to thank you. I've gone through each of these for today's stream. I've gone through OBS, I've gone through Wirecast, and I've gone through YouTube, all as recording options. Again, my name is Jennifer Nelson. I work with Vitmug Productions. I'm one of the co-founders, and we take production and live streams from conception all the way to repurposing. I hope you'll give us a try, and I hope you've enjoyed the content.